Hello and welcome to Fowl Plays, where we look at tales of tabletop tragedy that are sure to ruffle some feathers. I'm your host, BossGoose, and in today's story, we have a player who is consistently late or blows off game sessions, making the other players wait around and only showing up when he feels like it. When they are present, they play their character as needlessly cruel, dancing on the line of being a murder hobo as they concoct twisted plans and scenarios for dealing with in-game interactions, both friendly and hostile. Before we get started, our investigation of the manor continues with a symphony of the night. The door slams shut after we entered the manor, and try as we might, we can't get it open again. While deciding our next move, a gentle melody begins to drift from somewhere upstairs. At the same time, a loud crashing sound can be heard from the basement. I'll leave it up to you to decide which of these events we investigate first, so make your choice and we'll reveal what happens in 3, 2, 1. And if you decided to head into the basement, it's pitch black as we descend the old stairs. Taking a moment, you light a lantern revealing a collapsed wall and a hidden room behind it. We'll see what mysteries lie within next time. If, on the other hand, you decided to follow the music, then you found a well-dressed skeleton playing a haunting melody and have fallen under its spell. The only hope to break free is to press the subscribe button, which will provide updates whenever new content is available on my channel, and drown out that melody with dozens of existing stories to keep you entertained for hours. Now, without any further delays, it's time to take your seats and wet your beaks as we dive on into today's tale. Unfortunately, it's finally time for my spree of wonderful campaigns to be interrupted by a horror story. I hope someone else can enjoy my current pain. Sorry ahead of time for being rather long-winded. My roommate is my longtime DM, and recently a spot opened up in his in-person group for Rime of the Frost Maiden, and DM invited me to fill it. I'm pretty sure I now know why the previous person left. Current cast: me, Vitor, Fire Ganassi Artificer, Vince, Human Rogue, Casey, Rabbit Monk, Gray, Half-Elf Warlock, and our problem player, Vatty, Ratfolk Bard. I joined about 6 sessions ago, but the campaign has been going for probably 15 sessions or so before I got there. For the 6 sessions I've been there, Vatty has only been there for 2 of them. His signature move is to message us an hour to 30 minutes before game time to let us know he won't be here today. From having spoken to players who dropped out, Vatty was there for less than half the total sessions. We play at 7:30 p.m. every week. Last night, Vatty messages at 7:45 that he's leaving his house to head our way. No explanation, no apology, just shows up when he shows up. A lot of the players are new to D&D, but are generally doing a wonderful job of learning and getting into their character stories. I enjoy helping the DM out and answering questions about mechanics, so I'm rarely frustrated about people not understanding how the game works. However, at a certain point, you sort of expect people to get the very basics. How to make an attack roll, for instance, which we had to explain to Vatty last night. So on to the campaign proper. The session that I joined on, the party was trying to recover some lost items from a Yeti cave. They spent a while discussing how they wanted to approach it, and eventually decided they wanted to try to stealth in and grab the items and leave without a fight. Vatty was hostile from the very beginning, immediately talking about various plans to really brutally murder the Yeti, the details of which are unfortunately lost to me, as this was several months ago. While the party is trying to stealth in, Vatty is continuing to try to persuade the party to go with his plan of attack. Given the situation, I was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. This was my first session, and it is a Yeti, so were there really that many options? Unfortunately for the party, the best laid plans often go awry, and a stealth check uncovered them once they were in the furthest depths of the cave. A missing halfling was found being kept prisoner there, and they discovered the Yeti had a baby Yeti, Yetling, she was caring for. Having been discovered, the party realized they were going to have to fight their way out, and reconvened to discuss how to approach it. From the beginning, Vatty had a very curious insistence on having the baby Yeti be murdered by the mother Yeti, from using the baby as a meat shield to convincing the mother that the baby was an enemy. The party was leaning towards a more straightforward, let's just duke it out approach. But Vatty apparently has a track record for just doing whatever he wants, so as soon as his turn came around, he cast Phantasmal Force on the Mama Yeti, specifying that the mom thinks the baby is now the missing halfling, and that the halfling is the baby. Given the constraints of Phantasmal Force, I'm not certain it should have technically worked that way, but the DM rolled with it. He's very good about just going with the rule of cool. Roping the halfling into the plan, they were able to get Mama Yeti to believe the halfling had just attacked the Yetling, and so beat the out of the baby before finally coming to realize what had happened. Vatty's idea had been that upon seeing what she'd done to the kid, she'd be overwhelmed with despair and they'd be able to run off. I can't stress enough the strange sort of glee he had in explaining this plan. There was genuine excitement specifically in having the mother kill her own kid. He absolutely would not stop talking about it. Of course, the Yeti didn't just sit there and take it, and lashed out against the party. Hard fight for them, but they won out in the end. On the way out, they run into Papa Yeti returning from the hunt. Vatty repeatedly taunts Papa Yeti about what he's going to find further in the cave, and elaborates on what was done. Again, they win that fight, but by the end, the entire party was like, "Really, Vatty? This is fucked up." But just kinda went with it. That's my very first introduction to Vatty and his player. I tried to give the benefit of the doubt that this was a situational bit of fucked upness. We all come up with weird and potentially fucked up plans now and then. Following this were 3 or 4 more sessions where Vatty never showed up and had to be NPC'd in the background. The party warms up to my artificer, and there's a decent amount of chemistry overall. The whole party is fucking weirdos, so it all works out. Lots of fun moments, and I'm very much enjoying seeing the big character plots going on with Gray as their backstory starts to play out. Cut to last night, our most recent session. Due to outside circumstances, Casey and Gray can't come to the session, so it's just Vince, Vatty, and myself. Vatty gets there extremely late, but eventually we start the game up, resuming a trek through the wilderness to Fort Sunblight. After failing a survival check, we end up lost and run into a crevasse overtaken by gnolls. We survive the encounter by the skin of our teeth, everyone down but myself and me in single-digit health, and take stock of our surroundings. We can hear more gnolls in the distance and notice they've set up some sort of base in the crevasse. We've got no business or plot hooks here and just got our asses handed to us, so we decide to head out and resume the journey to Sunblight. On the way, we run into a party of friendly kobolds. They tell us they're looking for a white dragon to worship, but they can't find her anywhere. We talk to them a bit about what they're doing and where they've been. They happily tell us about the fort we're looking for, describing what they know of it. Vince tries to convince them to join his zoo, and Vatty asks if they have anything to trade. They've got a few potions and a magical tattoo needle, and all they want in return is rations. Our DM doesn't typically enforce ration counting, especially since we've got a good berry bush, so we can effectively get the potions and tattoo needle for free. Upon realizing this won't cost us anything, Vatty goes absolutely insane and tells them he's seen their dragon at a crevasse nearby, and he can tell them how to get to it if they give us the items for free. He's smirking and laughing as he says this. He fully intended to direct these very friendly kobolds to certain death at the Gnoll hideout for reasons, I guess, when this magic needle is literally going to cost us absolutely nothing to obtain. My artificer immediately interrupts and says that Vatty is lying and not to listen to him, and offers them rations in trade. Vatty gets testy and repeatedly tries to offer his fake information to them, even after the trade is done and the kobolds are leaving. They clearly no longer trust our party and are trying to get away from us as quickly as possible. We ended the session shortly afterwards, and I was in a state of shock as to how strange and needlessly cruel Vatty's plan was. By the way, Vatty is an ambassador, and this is his general approach to everything. Apparently, he's an ambassador to the Murderhobo affiliation. If his past record is anything to go by, the next few months of this campaign are going to be rife with content for this sub. Pray for me. So, psychotic plans and cruel intentions aside, the big issue I have with Vatty in this story is his attendance. We all have real life to deal with, and sometimes missing a session or running a bit late is unavoidable. The problem here is that this is a consistent thing for Vatty, and he doesn't even bother to keep the group, or at the very least the DM, updated on if he's running late or just not going to show up until the last minute. By now, I'm sure that DM plans ahead of time to just background Vatty's character, but he really shouldn't have to, and it's really disrespectful to waste everyone's time like this so consistently without any explanations or apologies. If you can't make the commitment to reliably show up for a campaign, then you should probably bow out and play one-shots until your schedule can allow for weekly sessions. I would credit the fact that he's only there for a fraction of the time as to why he doesn't understand the basic rules of the game with the attack roll example. D&D may require some light math, but this is very basic stuff, and if you've been part of a game for several months, I would at the very least expect you to have read the basics on what actions a character can take and how to make those checks. So, aside from the attendance, it's kinda hard to get a grasp on how bad the actual murder hoboing is based solely off the examples in this story. While the things with the Yetis did veer into needlessly cruel with the gloating afterwards, the plan itself wasn't the worst when dealing with powerful and hostile creatures like that. The kobolds, on the other hand, was much more egregious because while they can be hostile in certain situations, this group was very helpful to the party, and more than happy to trade and offer guidance for little in return. Trying to trick them into getting killed for no reason afterwards is a bit much in my opinion. While not technically murder hoboing them himself, it certainly flirts with the line if you know you're sending friendly NPCs to certain doom for laughs. I would be really curious to see how Vatty behaves in a more civilized setting like a town or city before throwing him fully into their hobo status. But I will say if OP is uncomfortable with how things have played out so far, I would definitely suggest speaking with the DM about their concerns and trying to resolve things before the problem gets any worse. And more importantly, bring up the attendance issue, because it's disrespectful and it's wasting everyone's time. Anyways, thanks for checking out my video and sticking around till the end. I upload new content every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, so make sure you check out my channel for more D&D stories. And if you like this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and leave me a goosebump in the comments below. Your feedback and support is greatly appreciated. But until next time, be good players.